Hi there, I'm Emmet, a designer on the Android Wear team. In this video, I'll be introducing some of the main principles of designing for Android Wear. Let's start with a brief introduction to Android Wear. Android Wear is an open software platform for wearable devices like smartwatches. Android Wear can run on many different device types, even ones with square or circular screens. The UI is really simple and content is optimized for these small screens. Very simply, the core of the Android Wear UI is an automatically ranked stream of cards. It combines sources like Google Now, Android phone notifications, and contextual apps running directly on the wearable. Developers can create cards that appear right in this stream. At any point, I can swipe left to drill into more detail for each item, and swipe right to dismiss cards. We've also included the ability to speak to Google. Users can just say, "OK Google," to search the web and ask for answers, and also perform voice commands that we call actions. Developers can hook into these voice actions, which means that users can speak directly to your software. We'll look at the UI in more detail shortly, but first let's step back and think about some of the design implications of these devices. Wearables provide a brand new set of design opportunities and challenges, so it's important to be clear about just how different they are compared to other devices like phones or tablets. Let's start by looking at what exactly Android Wear does and what's different about designing for it. Android Wear provides just the right information at just the right time, allowing people to be connected to both the virtual and the real world. As much as possible, content simply shows up in the stream automatically. This is a significant change to the model that we're all used to of launching and quitting apps. Let's look at some of the principal design characteristics of an Android Wear experience. Android Wear is contextually aware and smart. These devices bring a whole new level of intimacy to computing. Rather than requiring attention and input from users, Android Wear devices are aware of their situation and state and helpfully offer the right information at the right time. Android Wear feels timely, relevant, and specific. These apps are glanceable. Wearable devices are used all throughout the day, even when they're just sitting in our peripheral vision. Effective apps provide the maximum information signal with the minimum of fuss, optimized to provide tiny nuggets of relevant information in many microsessions throughout the day. Think short, sharp, and immediate. It's also zero or low interaction. Staying true to the strengths afforded by a smaller form factor, Android Wear focuses on simple interactions, only requiring input by the user when absolutely necessary. Most inputs are based around simple touch swipes and voice, and inputs requiring fine-grained motor skills are avoided. Android Wear is gestural, simple, and fast. Finally, these experiences are all about suggest and demand. Android Wear is like a great personal assistant. It knows you and your preferences. It only interrupts you when absolutely necessary. It's also always on hand to provide a ready answer or complete a task. Android Wear is helpful, respectful, and responsive. By providing a smart connection to the rest of the world while respecting the user's attention, Android Wear feels simple and smart, unobtrusive but ever ready. Applications that respect these principles will feel most at home in the overall Android Wear experience. So, as a designer, the opportunity here is not to think about how to shrink a smartphone UI down to a tiny screen. Instead, think about the fundamental problems your design solves. How might the tasks that users accomplish with your product break down according to these principles? Alright, we've established some of the concepts that should drive your design thinking. Now let's take a look at some examples and how they match these principles. Remember, these apps will all exist right inside that vertical stream of cards that is the core of the Android Wear UI. So this is what the Android Wear UI actually looks like. Here we see some cards in the main stream. Cards like this one appear at very specifically targeted moments, exactly when they're useful. Just like Google Now, these cards don't have to be launched or opened. Instead, based on location, activity like walking or running, time of day, the user's interests, and other factors, you can target content to appear at just the right time. These cards are contextual. Notice also how the content is simple, minimal, and clearly laid out. These layouts are optimized to be glanced at out of the corner of the eye or quickly checked while walking or running. These cards also respect our principle of low interaction. Rather than having lots of fiddly menus and buttons, the user can simply swipe to another page for more detail if necessary. In fact, throughout the Android Wear UI, you should make use of big gestures like swipes and full screen taps. Don't place multiple tiny tap targets on one screen. There are a number of common Android Wear UI elements that you should become familiar with. Cards, card bundles, action buttons, list selectors, voice input, confirmations, and more. By chaining these simple building blocks together, you can create a simple, instantly familiar user experience. I'll provide a link to find out more about these components at the end of this video. Now let's look at voice actions. OK Google, make a reservation at Cafe Robin for 7 p.m. Again, rather than thinking about launching apps, we're focusing on single tasks. Issuing a voice command from the wrist should be fast and smooth. Be careful not to design voice commands that require too much time or attention from the user. Get the job done as simply and unobtrusively as possible. I hope this has been a useful introduction. For lots of more detail, guidance, and resources, including sample apps and assets, check out the Android Wear Style Guide at this address. You'll also find information on more advanced topics, like designing immersive, full-screen apps for Android Wear. Thanks for watching, and have fun designing for Android Wear.